Hi, guys. Welcome to Dating Intelligence, the podcast where we give relationship advice from dating to marriage and everything else in between. And always with the goal of helping you to continuously be the best you at all times.
So if you're looking for real, honest information to help you navigate your relationships, we've got you covered.
We have got you covered again and again and again. Hey, guys. Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Dating Intelligence. We're here at Sticky Paw Studios in Las Vegas. What's up, Jamie Villamore?
Not much. How are you today?
I'm good. I feel off. It's the headphone thing. I'm not in the headphones today. I feel like I hear all this extra noise around me.
You look different.
Do I? Maybe I should keep them off all the time then, maybe, right?
No, good. Put them on.
Oh, nah, it's too late. They already put them away. So, all right, guys, we're here at the studio about to do another episode. And before we get started, anything that you want to say that what you've been up to for the past few weeks since we haven't been here?
No, you've been gone too long.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I know. We've both been out of play.
Yeah,
You've been
call me and
hopping, and I've been like at conferences and all this stuff too, and tournament softball games. It's been a whirlwind for the past few weeks.
What do you have coming up next?
I'm actually doing a creative immersive workshop that I've started doing. This will be our very first one. I'm going to rent a house in Dallas and grab a group of people from PodFest that I've met, and we're going to do this immersive content creation for about a week. Just helping each other out with podcasts and everything, dealing with that nature and going from there.
A whole week
A
with
whole
all
week.
the same people?
Same people, you know.
Is Jamie going?
No, she's not.
Okay.
Does she have a podcast?
No.
Okay, there you go. You should be going with me though, but everybody's like, how come your co-host is going? I go, she doesn't do any of that stuff, you know. She just shows up to work. You just show up to work, and that's what I love about you.
Yeah, but you didn't even invite me.
I know better. You're busy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think it would have fit into your weekly schedule. Although I would love to have you there.
Yeah,
though,
maybe
so.
I'll pop in for.
I was going to ask you that.
For a
we can talk
day.
more after this.
Okay.
I would love to have you
Sounds
do that.
good.
So, all right, guys, we are going to jump into our guest today. And our first guest, we have two awesome guests today, and I'm super excited about this. We have a guest today that you could literally call the jack of all trades. I mean, this guy does it all. He's an actor, producer, director, author, and keynote speaker. With 2 doctorate degrees in both psychology and clinical hypnotherapy, he applies his skills and knowledge as CEO and founder of his company, The Architect of Being. With the majority of us living our lives on autopilot, he shares his passion and wisdom onto others who are ready to step out of their normal routine and transform their lives into a healthier and happier lifestyle. I've literally had the pleasure of talking to this guy on the phone on numerous occasions, and I tell you, I thought I had the gift of making people smile. Well, he had me as giddy as a 5-year-old every time I got off the phone with him. Please welcome the incredible Dr. Travis Fox to the show.
Wow.
What's up, Travis?
Thanks, man. How you doing?
What an intro.
Well, that was
he
an intro. Can I have that? That was
deserves
I
amazing.
think my panties are wet. No offense to you over there.
Right.
I know mine are, for sure.
I mean, I've had so much time talking to you on the
We have,
phone. Like, I
man.
tell him, I go, this guy, he's like my new best friend. Everything he says is just like, we have such good rapport.
We did.
Yeah, it's great.
It's taken months to get here, too.
It has
by the way.
been.
I'm
It's
so
been a
sorry for
while.
that,
Yeah,
by the
how
way. Sorry,
long
guys.
have
6
we been
months.
trying to get you on the show?
6 months.
Right.
We try to get this on the show.
Well, like I said, it's never late than never, right? Save the best for last.
Well, hopefully he's not the last.
Well,
yeah, I was like,
just-
I'm not sure where you want to
sorry.
go with that one. I'm
I
going
mean-
to toss that one back to you. I'm like, if I'm the last, let's go out with a bang.
How about last for the day?
Yeah.
On that
Yes.
note, we'll say that. All right, I'm going to introduce his lovely wife over here, and not to play
Yes.
second fiddle to this guy at all by any means. It is his wife, who has a diverse corporate and entrepreneurial career. Having sat on multiple boards before the age of 30, she's the co-founder and CEO of Ultimate Business Quest, where she runs the show alongside with her husband. And when she's not conducting the orchestra at the office, she's an award-winning competitive bodybuilder who loves challenging herself in new ways. Please welcome Michelle Fox to the show.
Thanks
Hi,
for
Michelle.
having
Hi. You're gorgeous, by the way.
Right?
Yeah. Well done.
By the way, she started as a drag racer.
Yes.
Not
Seriously?
drag.
Yeah.
Nice.
She was a drag.
Yeah,
She actually
Pomona.
Wow.
Yeah, the
Okay, well, let's
Pomona
get into
drag
this to start off with.
Right?
So tell us about this.
like the Fast and the Furious.
Badass.
Yeah.
I'm
It
not
really
sure.
was. So interestingly enough, we had a career day when I was 16, and we went to the Pomona drag strip. I fell in love with the racing. Like, I absolutely fell in love with it. So I started on the pit crew with David Baca and his team.
Nice.
And what they said was, hey, this is a really intense man's sport. Like, you really need to get your feet wet. And I was like, F you. I'm going all the way effing in. I'm going all the way in. And so I just started drag racing. I fell in love with it.
How long did you do that for, by the way?
About 2 years.
Okay.
And then I went to went straight into planes. So
Wait, so
started
now
to fly.
you
amazing.
aviation?
I was doing aviation, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a license to fly, a license to drive, and just a fucking badass license to be a
How
badass.
long did it take you to do that?
Jeez.
It took,
Rose my
let's see,
case.
about 6 months before I could solo. But I was also managing the school simultaneously. So
Yeah.
I was always in the planes, like everywhere we went, especially like across country. So I got my hours really quickly.
Wow,
Did
that's
you ever
great.
get scared like
Oh,
up there?
absolutely. There was one moment I'll never forget where I actually saw people. Like we did a spin, and the pilot that was with me is an old Delta captain, and he was like, "Hey, that was a little too close. I think we're gonna call it a day." And I'm like, I piddled. I
Okay.
so piddled. Like I was like, all right, I'm done. So I took a very long break after that.
Okay.
And then just started doing other crazy stuff like jumping out of airplanes and stuff. So
Total adventurer here.
Wow.
I warned you. I gave you guys a heads up. I was like, I'm interesting, but she's far more interesting.
So, guys, we have Dr. Travis Fox on our show today, and like I said, he's already amazing in himself, but we had to bring his wife on because we have a great topic for both of you. But I want to
I
get
bet.
into your story as well, you know, on how you got your beginnings and what you're doing right now. Obviously, I mean, you're busy.
I work for her.
Yeah, well, this
let's
is true.
solve that problem.
Right.
I work for her, and 71 other one of us work for her. So, actually, my start's kind of odd. I'm a third world kid. I grew up outside the United States. I grew up in Japan and Germany for
Okay.
the better part of my first 10 years of life, with a brief stop when I was about 4.5, 5 years old in Florida. And my father put a golf club in my hand. And my father was an avid golfer. He was kind of a mediocre athlete, good at everything, but not great at anything. But golf was his one conundrum. Gave me a golf club. And then we came back when I was around 9.5 years old, and my parents did a really cool thing. They sat down with me as an only child and said, hey, guess what? We're getting divorced. You get to choose who you're going to live with. So
wow.
my childhood ended that day, and I went into a different mode, which is probably why I became who I became. And golf was the only way my father and I could relate. We were
Okay.
literally two bachelors. So I was pretty much on the golf course all day, and he was off, fighting, doing fighter pilot things that he did. And my mom introduced me to modeling and acting. And this is where it became interesting because, and this will sound odd, but it's perfect for this show, I'm actually bihemispheric. Not to be confused with other things, meaning I can use my left brain exclusively or my right brain exclusively because I had parents that were equally dominant.
Right.
But neither one of them use the opposite. Mom's completely right brain creative, no clue about logic whatsoever. Dad's complete logic and emotionally disassociated from everything. And so it was an interesting way to grow up. But bottom line is I played golf and was acting and modeling by the time I was 9.5. I did my first gig. My mom trained me in a week how to do runway modeling. She was that good. And I was like, okay.
Nice.
All I heard was, if I get the gig, I get $200. I could go buy an Atari. That's
just
all I
walk a
heard.
straight line.
Walk a
Just
straight
walk a
line.
straight
Don't fall.
line.
Yeah, don't fall off
Yeah.
the damn stage
Stop.
and smile and wave.
Stop
Right?
at
Do the
the
elbow,
end.
elbow, wrist thing. And I got the gig, ironically. And my first gig was JCPenney's runway modeling. I got hooked, which extraordinarily pissed my father off because he's like, "Well, that's not real work." I'm like, "Yeah, but it pays well."
Yeah.
Dad, so this is about work smart, not hard. And that's what I understood education should have been. And long story long, I got into it, been film, television, all the way up through. And I was getting ready to turn pro and said, I've got a great idea. I'm going to turn pro, Dad. And my subconscious had a different idea. It said, how about we become a first-time father and we break this chain because this is not really your path. But I was so cognitively locked in and scope locked on, I need to be a PGA Tour golfer. That's what I need to do to please Dad, that I wasn't really listening to me. So my subconscious did a beautiful thing and said, well, we're going to go a different direction. And I became a first-time father and had an emotional collapse. Just crashed. I went into college as a real estate major, came out with a psychology degree.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But what happened was I met my mentor, who I love dearly. I sat under him for 15 years before he released me, and he's taken the great journey now. But he came to me and said, hey, have you ever done subconscious modalities? And I said, the hell is subconscious modalities? What are you talking about? No clue what he meant. And he introduced me to it, and I was hooked. Like she talked about drag racing,
Okay.
I was snapshotted. I want to know everything about how do we actually transform ourselves.
And this is right out of college by this time?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
a whopping 18 rolling 19
Gotcha.
at the time. And I became absolutely obsessed with understanding how does the subconscious actually work? How do we really transform ourselves? My original intention when I got in was I wanted to get back on golf because my golf career had just tanked. And that's fine. But my dissertation was on golf. And
Okay.
that's what made me relatively famous in the golf world and spun my career, and the rest is history. But I've spent 31 years in self-transformation, entrepreneurial development, and cognitive structuring.
Yeah.
But the real challenge is I can sit here and talk to you guys about stuff all day long, but it doesn't change anything. but it's really good mental masturbation, which might fit for this show. So it doesn't do anything. And that's the problem I had with the self-help industry. And I was in it for years. And I was one of those guys that said, hey, go in the back of my room, buy my stuff for $30, $40, $50,000. But I knew cognitively that, more than 80% of the people, as soon as they walked out the door, they were never going to do anything with it.
Okay.
And I couldn't live with that.
Do you feel the others thought that way as well, who were doing it at the time? Or
I
do you
think
feel
the
like they
industry is
actually
fraught with
believed-
it. Let's just do numbers. Let's just forget opinions. Let's just do numbers. The self-help industry is a $936 billion
That's
business
huge.
a year. If it's self-help, how much freaking help do you need? 936 billion? That's codependency, family, any way you slice it. Because it should be an educational process where we teach you to do it for yourself. Not gururize me, be like Dr. Fox. Don't be like me. I'm a nut job. I'm a total dork. I'm a ham. I'm all these other things. Be you, man, which is the real journey. And if you really boil it down to simplicity, it's not about going, I need to become something. No, you need to stop being the crap that you're acting on and remember who you are before our educational system sank their teeth in you and our social structure said this is who you're supposed to be and this is the definition that you need to live by. None of those are yours.
Right.
Those are all self-hypnosis. And we're all master hypnotists. The problem is we have no idea how to wield it. So if I handed you a big machine gun and said, this thing does this, you're like, great. But you'd start pointing in direction, you'd have all kinds of casualties. We do the same thing to ourselves, we do the same thing in relationships, and we damn sure do it in our business model. And we wonder why our models are at about 80% failure rate, including divorce now pushing somewhat, 72%.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, great show.
Okay.
Good to see you. Wow, that was awesome. Now we're all depressed. That sucks. Sorry, guys.
So how
All
often
right.
do you get to use your, your hypnotherapy? Like how often? Because I know that
I
you're
do-
on the
I'm
road
doing
a
it right
lot.
now.
Okay. Well, you're hypnotizing me right now.
No, quite the opposite.
Okay.
No, my mentor and master was absolutely brilliant. It took me a long time to really understand the journey he took me on, and he was such. I don't even know how to honor him anymore, except for the legacy that I leave and work with her every day on and the entire team, and everybody we work with is. Everything I do is actually the clinical is called reverse hypnotic thematic learning through synthesiastic movement, which is a really fancy way of saying, hey, guess what, kids? Me hypnotizing you is stupid.
Yeah.
Here's why. You're already hypnotized. You do it to yourself every single moment. You just don't even know you're doing it. And you do it in multiple frames. You do it with multiple personality parts. You do it with how you adjust your body. We do it disassociatively. We do it associatively. We do it in all these kind of compounded ways, but we have no idea how to wield it. None. And everybody's afraid to tell everybody how to do it. My mentor master was like, listen, knucklehead, I taught you this so that you could take it out to the world with someone like her and our entire team to go, time out. Shouldn't we learn, and let's talk about dating now, because let me ask you guys a question. What's the single longest relationship you've ever been in?
Jeez. Well,
Well-
mine's. You want to know the real answer?
No, lie to me. It's more fun.
Oh, okay. 17 years for me.
17.
Yeah.
11.
11. Cool. And I'm not going to ask, Chris, I forgot your age. I think you and I are fairly similar. I think I'm the oldest guy in the room.
28 years old.
Whatever. I love you for 27. Okay, fair enough. So let's agree that both your answers were awesome, but you left out the best relationship. Your single longest relationship is with yourself.
Right.
And yet we have no idea how to date ourselves, how to be with ourselves. How do I get this thing out of my head? How does this thing that's broken all the time not be broken? And is it really broken? Do I really want what I really wanted? Why do we do all the sex in the dark? Because we're afraid to talk about the shit we want in the light. So cut the crap. We don't teach any of that in our educational system. And yet the single longest relationship we're ever going to have is with yourself. Before you start dating everybody else and going, you need to fulfill my shit because I got big ass holes in here because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. It's your responsibility to make me happy. If you don't, fuck you, I'm divorcing your ass.
Right.
Great model. And we wonder why marriage makes no sense in the United States. It makes no sense. You get married in 30 seconds, but it takes 6 months to get divorced at minimum. Is that backwards to anybody, or am I just the idiot in the room? Like, shouldn't it be 6 months before you contemplate this lifelong theoretical decision? And then we say death do us part. Define death. There's multiple deaths that we all go through in life. There's death of personality. There's death of your ego. There's death, can be death, obviously, of the body. But there's also death of a dream. There's death of hope. There's death, all these other deaths that we don't talk about. So part of what we do at the Ultimate Business Quest is, one, let's get back to the basics. Everyone in this room, everyone listening to the show, watching the show, all of you were masters at one time, and you got sold a bill of goods through mass hypnosis. It's called high school. When you graduated high school, it sounded something like this. Great. Your childhood is over. It's time for you to get serious. Figure out what the hell you want to do with the rest of your life. It's time for you to grow the fuck up and be an adult. Here's the problem. You have no idea how to be a fucking adult. In fact, you've spent 17 or 18 years of your life mastering the complete opposite. You have subconsciously mastered fun, imagination, playtime, fearlessness. You've mastered all that. And then you have to go out and learn how to be an adult. And you get inducted into this beautiful process called the School of Hard Knocks, which kicked the living shit out of you.
Right.
And tragically, it does it on a scale of grandiose proportion that makes war look almost like a joke. And I say that with all respect to war, especially coming from a military family, is it's done generations, centuries of people who have passed through this life, not coming to their potential, didn't even know they had it. Absolutely hypnotized into believing they had to be an adult. First of all, I don't like adults. I think adults suck. And I'll tell you straight to your face, you're an asshole. I don't like adults because you think you're important when there's this beautiful thing called death.
Right.
That's coming for us all. And what's really cool about death, and it's a really hard thing to grasp, especially when you get into the cognitive ego, is it's imminent. You ain't getting out of it. You can't fuck your way out of it. You can't buy your way out of it. You can't negotiate your way out of it. You can't. It doesn't work.
It's coming for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the ultimate adventure.
Right.
And you've got a day with that. You got a guaranteed ticket for that ride. No one can take it from you. They can't borrow it. Nothing. It's your ride. So why isn't your entire life looked at that concept of one day this is all going to end? Therefore, every single moment I experience, up to including the one we're having right now, shouldn't it be the ultimate what you're doing? Shouldn't you really be present? Now, we have other books in here, and I've said, Eckhart's a great one, Dr. Joe, all great teachers. Here's the problem. We only teach this much. Why don't you give everyone the frickin' blueprint so we as a species can, one, have fun before we all die, two, really do good quality business? The things that we've seen come out of the Quest just in the short time that it's been out there, blown my mind.
That's great.
Because people are actually going, holy shit, I am the architect in my life. I'm like, duh. But our education system taught us, no.
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What
I can't stand it. I'd loathe it.
Yeah.
What age do you think that?
And I don't loathe our teachers. I loathe the system. I want to really crystal clear about it.
I agree.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's
What
the
is you-
system.
Go ahead.
It's literally. I think it puts a thumb on our kids, and they can't grow.
Yeah.
Oh, neither can the teachers. Neither can the schools.
And that's where the
because
frustration
they're already
comes in.
wrapped up
They're gone.
in it.
Well, let's be candid. What we
and
went
those
to
aren't
in school.
the people that I want inspiring my children to begin with. So
No.
I pulled my kids out.
They're not allowed to inspire. This is
Right,
about
that's
test
true.
taking for tax
and
dollars.
then it's like, if my kids want to fucking color outside the lines, let
God,
them
who
fucking color
cares?
outside. There's no rules. Don't tell me what I can wear and what I can't wear.
What a
Don't-
great statement. There's
Yeah.
no rules. Isn't that what we were told as kids? If you could believe it, you can become it. You can become the president of the United States. We were told of these big dreams. Where'd they go? And ask yourself this question. All of you watching the podcast, ask yourself this question. When did you trade in dreaming for hoping? Hoping has an implied doubt because you hope for the best, but you, say it with me,
Yeah, no, I'm not even going to say it.
you plan for the worst. And now let's play the game of subconscious modalities. So if I plan for the worst, that means that's what's really going on. So all this law of attraction shit, where everyone goes, law of attraction. And yes, by the way, I was the co-producer and co-star of the sequel to The Secret. I'm the guy that said, hey guys, you have to acknowledge the darkness because the darkness is what's running you.
Right.
It's the shadow. And we're so afraid of it because we're like, well, there's pain down there and there's judgment down there. And what happens if people find out I'm a fuck up? I'm like, you are a fuck up. We all are. Get over
Yeah.
yourself, right? Understand the concept of, if we're going to look at it from the Taoist point of view, the light and the dark have to equally exist. And if we look at how we date, going back to the original topic here, during the day, hey, how are you? Good to meet you. This is great. I really have these. Okay, it doesn't take a great actor to spot a bad one from the famous line, right? And then at nighttime, we're a different person. Why is that?
Good question. Yeah.
Why is that? And if you look at it, the truth is always discovered in the dark. I'll let you guys figure that one out for a second. Every nightclub is
Dark.
dark.
Yeah.
Why? Because I don't want to look like an idiot
Yeah,
while I'm on the
that's
dance
true.
floor,
This is true.
right? And why do I serve you alcohol? Because it gets you out of your head of the judgment of I might make a different decision. I'm not really free. I'm in my own prison. We're back to the original conversation. I have never gotten out of this concept who I really am. So part of what we did in the Ultimate Business Quest is we took it back to the basic lowest hanging fruit, puns intended. Sorry. Thanks for laughing. Bad joke. This audience is like, holy shit, we thought this was dating. We took it back and I asked Michelle, who is the CEO, I said, hey, there's a couple things that I've discovered over here in my 31-year career and still going, is that people are petrified to acknowledge who they are. Well, how the hell can you create a business if you can't acknowledge who you are and go, well, this is what she's good at, this is what he's good at, this is what she's good at, that's what he's good at, and maximize that personality, but more importantly, discover the parts of their personality that is not coming forward.
Okay.
So for example, if I say, hey, Christopher, you know what? You're a great warrior, and I'll classify that archetypally. Well, if we go for the basic archetypes, warrior, wizard, bard, jester, which is the basic four, That means 75% of your personality isn't even in the game. It's on the bench. Well, how the hell are you ever become the king or queen of your own life if you don't have access to all
Because you've already pigeonholed me into being that warrior.
or you've pigeonholed yourself.
Right, and I can't do anything else now.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so
Yep.
all of a sudden you go, well, I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. But what if a warrior doesn't have a cause? What if a warrior loses heart? What if a warrior gets his heart broken or betrayed? What then?
I'm dead.
Exactly. On the inside.
am, right.
Now you go into hypnotic sleep or zombification and you just pass through life. And you can read all the self-help books you want. You can go all the things you want, and they're all great. They have their own value. Don't get me wrong. I've been part of that industry a long time. Here's the problem. There's no blueprint out. So what do you do now? You wander around beating your head against a wall and expecting to become a door. So we sat down and we spent a good year first dialoguing. But then when we finally designed it, we locked ourselves in for a week. No phones, nothing. Nobody talked to us and said, what is the real journey we go on entrepreneurially and self-transformational simultaneously? Because those of us have been bifurcated into two buckets. Why? So I'm in business and I have that moment, right? All of a sudden now I'm going to have my midlife crisis. No, I'm going to, I'm 50 years old. I'm going to go ahead and date, a 21-year-old and get a Ferrari because now I got to relive my life.
Right.
Okay, that's a little cliche. Or I'm in the self-help world and I'm so woo-woo, I can't bring that back into the business world. And they've been this ocean apart. Yet if we look at it, the only way companies can transform is the individuals running it. Because no matter what business you're in the people business. So learn you first, then learn, but do it in a fun way so it's not scary.
But how do you project that to others, though? In theory, like let's say at a CEO level, let's say because you're running a company like that, how do you have everyone drink the Kool-Aid? Or, in other words, how do you do that in a way where everybody's now being like all creative types, all this, you can do this, you can do this, which I highly believe in because that's something that I, even as a tennis pro, when people look at me, I go, my job is not to basically teach you how I am.
Right.
My job is to show you the tools so you can be the best player you can be. And that's how I train people. So I believe in this. I believe in everyone should be their own person.
Right.
Because I'm my own person. Although that darkness is right though, because there's that, I was thinking, Jesus, right. I got a dark place that sometimes I'm willing to go there. Sometimes it's hard for me just to break out of that and understand what I need to do.
Well, let's play.
Yeah.
Well, like that comment you just made. Great comment. Very common. I'm willing to go there.
Right.
Who's I in that sentence?
Me.
Who's me? That's a pronoun shift.
Oh.
See?
Yeah.
I'm willing to go there. That means there's two parts of you already in the conversation going, well, I'm willing to go there. Like it's a foreign place. It's you there. It's you.
Right.
It's always there.
Yeah.
It's never not there. I mean, did you cut your head off and just walk
Right,
around?
I hear you.
You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But we say these things so flippantly because we're not really paying attention. And if we go back to the basics, and Bruce Lee, amazing, you said this, comment, be careful with the words that you use because you're casting spells. That's why it's called spelling. So each one of those words has an energy sequence and an intention and also a deeper meaning. That's the part we don't pay attention to. So when we talk about like law of attraction, if I put it on my wall and I think about my purple Lamborghini, how come it didn't show up? That's wishing on a star.
Yep.
That's not how it works. And that was what we did in the sequel to the movie in 2020 was to go, wait a minute, we've missed a couple steps here, kids. And we apply this to dating, going back to the concept of the show, is we walk in, what's the first thing we do? Put our best foot forward. Because we want them to like us. Why? Why do you want them to like you at the moment, right? What we do, and it's what we did, and what we invite people to look at, especially in the company, is what do you like about this conversation? I don't care whether you like me or not. That's a secondary conversation. What do I like about it? Do I like anything at all about it?
I don't feel like most people can answer that.
Most of us are too afraid.
Yeah.
Because if I turn and go, Christopher, I really enjoy hanging out with you, but here's the reality check. You're a wizard, which means you're super intelligent, and I'm a bard. I'm really into my passion. Sometimes I'm up, I'm down, I'm an emotional basket case, and your structure fucks with my non-structure, and I can tell we're going to be combative, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather just be friends, or hey, you know what? Thank you for teaching me. I may need a little more structure because I'm averse to it.
Right.
We never do that.
Okay.
But isn't that what dating really is?
Yeah. Right.
Does it fit with what I'm working on in me? Not do you complete me?
Right.
That's the most dangerous thing we can say to someone because then what happens if that person doesn't complete you? Boop. And that's what you do. Wash, rinse, and repeat. We do that in business, and we do that with ourselves and our body. Well, she's the master of body. That's her personal. She's a competitor. I just try to keep up. But in business, we do the same thing, and we keep repeating it. Because let's ask so many people on the podcast, and I'd love to do a poll. How many people believe they're ready to start their own business right now today? I bet you more than half your audience is going to say yes. Great. What's your first step?
Right. But that's where they fail because they don't ever complete the first step.
Well, they don't ever make the first step.
Right.
Right. Because-
so it's dreams. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So it's all talk
Which
and
I
no
cannot
action.
stand. Yeah, I cannot stand that.
And why?
Probably fear. Or they're
Okay.
not ready, or they're waiting for something else instead of just
Or
getting it done.
they've been so socially conditioned to have a blueprint and they don't have one.
That was the other thing.
Because
I was
there
gonna
is
say.
none.
There is one. It's called the Ultimate Business Quest, and it is a blueprint. But you fill in. You remember that? You remember those books you played as a
I
kid?
feel like there can't be a blueprint.
There is.
Because you just don't know what to expect. So there's certain, you may think that this is what you're going to do, and that's when you have to be good at problem solving, or maybe, what do you mean?
Why do
To
you
start
have
a
to be good at it?
business.
Yeah, you don't have to be good at it.
Right.
Well, you hire the people that are
Right.
in
so
that
what business
area.
are you in?
For example, if I was in the marketing business.
Okay.
Or like podcasting, like we podcast.
Sure, of course.
But I'm not a marketer, but I'm
Right.
going to hire the best marketing person to get my podcast out there so people can hear it.
Right. So what business are you in?
If I'm in the business of podcast, I have several businesses, but in this case, like if we're podcasting.
But I think you're trying to say the people business. Is that
We're
what you're looking
in
for?
the same. We're in the same
We're all-
business.
I think everyone's in the people business.
Exactly. And there's a blueprint for that.
Right.
There's a blueprint. And then you have the business bifurcation that comes from that. But it's done in adventure form. So go back in time. There's two ways you can look at this. One, you remember the first time you went and saw an epic movie, Lord of the Rings, maybe Harry Potter, right? You're looking at a product that took years to build.
Yeah.
And you get to watch it in compressed time, probably called 2.5 hours.
Right.
But you get so emotionally attached to the characters. You're so immersed in the experience that when you walk out of the theater, you're still yakking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want
Okay.
more.
Right.
They leave you wanting more.
There's a feeling that drives that. Most of that is called adventure, right? Or fun, or in our case,
When
the
I come out of a
ultimate
strip joint, I feel like that all the time.
business. right?
I mean, God.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Same concept. Or when you
And I'm
look
the
at,
opposite.
yeah, I'm like, I gotta go take care of me now. This sucks. And I'm broke. Shit. And I'm drunk. That's dumb. Right. So you look at that from that point of view. Or the other concept is, what is the one thing you mastered as a kid? What did you master? Everyone did. In some form or another, we all mastered the same thing. You learned how to have fun. You activate your imagination, the real part of you that's running the show, like that. As an adult, you have to go through cognitive. Oh, well, I got to think about it, and I've got to go hire this person or hire this. Boring. So what if you come back to thematics? We run on themes. We always do. And when we get to the thematic version, you come back to the basic of fun, because what else do you really get into business for? Don't tell me because you really
Right.
enjoy business. Nobody does. Fuck
Right.
you. You don't.
I just do what I want and have fun.
Right.
What's another word? What's another word for that? One word. Starts with an F. Like my last name, easy. Freedom. Every single person gets into business because they want the freedom, even Elon Musk. I want the freedom to enjoy my life because I know deep down in places I don't want to talk about because it's scary, death is imminent. And like the great Alan Watts said, life doesn't define death. Death defines your life. So if you acknowledge one day this is all going to end,
Yeah.
right? All this is going to go.
Right.
We've all talked. I've heard you guys talk about the show before. Beauty fades. We got to go past the this. Great. So cut the shit. What's behind that? What am I willing to do in my life? If I only had 30 days left to live, would I be doing any of the things I'm doing in my life now? And if any part of your answer is no, you owe it to the single longest relationship you're ever going to have. You go, this doesn't work. I got to stop. I'm lying to myself, which further validates we're the greatest hypnotists on the planet. We just don't realize we're
That's
doing
true,
it.
though. That is very
Okay,
true.
so what would you say to someone like me that I wasn't taught any of this? Like from
Download
a-
the app. Now you can have it for free. No, I'm not trying to be a smartass. I mean,
Right.
that is
Yeah.
our quest. I actually went to Michelle and said, look, I know how to architect. This is what I'm good at. I'm not the best business person. I'm not the best speaker. We have amazing teams that are better speakers than me, that are better creators than me. She's a better business person than I am. She's better organizationally from a structural point of view than I am. I get bored in the mundane. It drives me bananas. I'm a people person.
Yeah.
If you put me in front of 10,000 people, I'm at home. You put me in front of a desk, I'm dead.
That's I'm
Yeah.
the same
Can't do
way.
it. I'm just
Yeah,
blow
I
my
think
brains
you're
out,
the
can't
same
do
way
it.
as
Yeah.
well.
But she can
Yeah.
manage all of these people like it's just nothing for her. So I said, wait a minute. What business are we really in? Well, first we're in people. So it's looking for how do we understand ourselves? How do we understand people? We do it in a fun way through archetypials. Now, this archetypial has gone through a 20-year journey of working with at-risk youth teenagers in the real front lines, because that's where we had to find out if we can take these kids that have been super traumatized, and I mean, pick it, kids, name it, who can come from that and bring them back so that the family is healed and they can live productive, enjoyable lives. We can do it with people that are just neurotic. So we took that and we took architecting and slammed it together in her direction, and then we put it in a game. Why? Because you both have 17 years of mastering gameplay. You just forgot how to do it. And someone told you along the way, just like they did with us and all of you out there, hey, you got to be an adult. When I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't we all about playing the serious game of business? Playing being the operative word. We get so attached to things, right?
Yeah.
And we get attached to it in a way that absolutely we get in our own way. And so what do? We seek out gurus, whatever, ayahuasca, done 'em, right? Card carry member. And we finally go, what am I really searching for? To give myself permission to be who I really am. That's it. Cut the shit. Everything else is an adventure. You're going to die broke. You're going to die broke. I'm going to die broke. She's going to die broke. The question is, did you really live?
Right.
So the ultimate business quest is about following those dreams in a step-by-step manner of, yes, we're going to show you how to build a company. We have a thing after every adventure, there's called the Wizard's Room. You get to meet her in the boardroom, which says, okay, here's all the things you just went through with all the teachers and the adventures that you were on, but this is how you apply it. See, when you go from fantasy to reality and reality back to fantasy, now you're using both sides of you. You're using your cognitive consciousness and your subconscious simultaneously, which is what really is supposed to happen.
Right.
Otherwise, we walk around going, well, I really think I want to buy a yellow car, but your subconscious goes, bullshit, we're buying a green one.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're all over here like, well, I don't even know why. I don't even like green cars. Why did I buy a green car? And it's because we got to realize that our subconscious is running the show, and even more so our shadow.
So there's I'm sure there's a percentage, but I'm probably answering my own question. I'm sure it ebbs and flows with everyone differently. How often do you feel like, for instance, people follow that subconscious and just go for that, and I'll use business as an example. Like you said earlier on, most people who want to start their own business, they'll
Right.
talk about, they never do it. Like I know for both of us, I'm a doer. I know for sure. When I say I'm like,
You're a
if someone
warrior.
asks me, I go, I'm not ready for that yet. And I admit it, but then I go, I'll know when I'm ready. And
You're a
it
warrior.
usually comes to me in a dream, which is probably my subconscious. And once my
Totally.
subconscious in my dream does it, I do it right the next day. Like
Right.
starting this podcast, I'm going to shoot a podcast and I start
you mean
the
it's
next
an
day.
inside-out job?
It's like an inside out. Yes.
And
Like
it's-
this
what a
light, not
concept,
dark, right? Yes.
Which is
right.
what you did as a kid.
Yep,
And
okay.
until someone told you had to start, well, you have to be reasonable. You got to use your judgment. I was already judging as a kid. But
Yeah.
I judge object in time and space, which is what we do from a conscious perspective. And so what ends up happening is we suck the fun out of it. I mean, come on, you guys have been in business long enough. You're full grown ass adults. Name at least one business you're like, oh, this sucks. You started off great.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And it's 99% of the time it's cultural clash or we got the wrong partner, just like dating, right?
Oh, we're good partners, honey.
We are
We're
good
going on a
partners.
You are
year.
good partners,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you understand the nature of the relationship.
we
What
do.
she does and what you do makes total sense, right? Where you're coming with the warrior, the doer right here, where she's going to be more the bard and the feeler. She's going to feel it out. If it doesn't feel right, she's going to be quiet.
Yeah.
Right? She's
Until
going
she
to contemplate
asks those
it.
hard questions.
Right. Then she'll snap into wizard mode and she'll go, okay, I'm going to do a little deposition here.
Which you
right?
do,
Which
by
she
the
does,
way.
right? Yeah, I've already
It's a
done a
good thing.
profile.
It's
I
great.
was watching. I was like, got it.
It's a great thing.
It's fun. And so when you make it fun, now we're poking fun at ourselves like, yeah, that's right. I do get up in my head and I do pick on that. Ah, shit. Okay, I'm going to wizard mode. Got it. Okay. As opposed to, oh, man, I cannot stand that person. They're so negative. They do this and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, we're over in their story. But why? You haven't finished your own.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Right? So when we look at that from a dating and a business perspective, but to me, they're all the same because you're the central axis of your world, right? That was the one thing that we all agreed as a company was on our company culture was it's fun. If it's not fun, we ain't doing it.
See.
Period.
I
Done.
love that.
And it's
Yeah.
all based on TLC, trust, loyalty, and communication. Simple. I trust her to run the company. She's smart. She's the right, and I say this respectfully, she's the right man for the job. If we're going to genderize the crap, which I hate, but she's the right man for the job. She always was, right? And believe me, she runs mostly guys.
Right.
Our company is 70% men. Now, that's not by choice. It's just by the right people for the right spot. All of us are like, okay, boss got us, whatever you say.
Okay. Now,
We trust her.
with that being said, so
Spencer.
sorry, for business side of it now, for you, the people that you've hired, how do you suss them out to make sure that they're a fit? I'm sure there's probably, oh, they're not a complete fit, but can you work with that and try to change that a little?
No, not at
Okay.
all. And a lot of that is when somebody comes into an organization and you're trying to make them fit, is square peg round hole.
Of course.
And it's really getting to know those individuals, but also using the archetypes. So it's the warrior, the wizard, the bard, and the jester. Who are they and how are they showing up? And do they fit within that particular niche? Because a lot of bards are really great in a marketing aspect or somebody that's actually vocalizing the message of your company because they're your feelers. The warriors are the doers, the managers, the ones that point and shoot and can get it done. And then you have your jesters,
Okay.
which are not super reliable and have very awkward timing. So, they
funny.
make that really weird comment and you're like, that was a little awkward. That was probably not the right timing.
Yeah.
So as soon as you hear that, you're like, oh my gosh, they're such a jester. Or they're by the river and, you know, in a tent or laying on the, you know, the side and just sleeping there, and they're having a electronic detox. So
Okay.
those are your jesters,
Okay.
and they're typically going to just bounce in and out. And so if a jester comes and tries to interview, and you're like, hey, what do you like to do? And they're like, well, I don't have any devices. I go out in the wilderness and I'm gone for a week. And you're like, yeah, you might not be a desk job person.
Okay.
You know, that may not be a
So
good
these are
fit.
built-in questions that you guys ask everyone when they come in for
Absolutely.
interviews, and you know exactly
Yeah.
because of the template and
Yep.
and I guess the percentages of who you've interviewed or whatever. You know this. That's
and
great.
that's what we actually teach inside the app as well, is how do you identify within yourself, within your relationships, and also within the business workplace. And also there's parenting that we threw in there in case any parents want to actually understand what is my child. Are they
Yeah.
a bard, a warrior,
Right.
wizard, and jester? Because each one you talk to differently, each one you manage differently in a business aspect. And you're definitely not going to want to put a warrior or a wizard in with the bards.
Yeah.
Because the bards and the wizards will
So
duke it
break
out.
Yeah,
down
just-
the 4 for our audience.
So the wizard is more of your analytical, the people that love data. And they're always finding the flaw in every single thing that happens. It's like they can walk into a building and they're like, oh, well, that's wrong. That's in the wrong place, or this isn't right. And you think they're nitpicky, but it actually is their beautiful. It's them at the core level of really finding all the flaws so they can make it better. And we need the wizards in
Yeah.
order to find all the flaws. Otherwise, all your customers are going to find the flaws, you know. And the bard is the beautiful one that feels, the one that portrays the message, that loves to, you know, be in the marketing aspect of things, or loves drama, or loves art. And then you have the warrior that's all about the feeler, the doer, my warrior's heart. Yes, thank you. My warrior's heart. They love a cause. They love to help people. And then you have your jesters, like I talked about, where they are a little bit more
Off the grid a
Yeah,
little.
off the grid.
More the beer.
Yeah, they're the great consultants.
Okay,
Or
okay.
board advisory boards.
Now, when this happens, do they already, because they come in with with their previous jobs or whatever is it? I'm going jobs now on this. So do they add up to who they really are in that aspect?
Absolutely.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that we've just been doing it for so long, we can just look at somebody and just based off of their mannerisms, we're like, oh, total bard or
Right.
total jester. But it makes it really fun in the workplace because
Okay.
then you're not poking at people in a negative way. It makes it really fun of, oh, you're so warrior, like you're just a warrior. You're in
Right.
warrior zone right now, or you're wizarding out, or, you know, hold on, let me overthink this. I'm wizard, you know, I'm being the wizard. Like,
All right.
Yeah.
I love that you said you have to separate the bards and the warriors. So where are the bards
Totally.
to compare to the warriors? And are they in separate quarters at this point? I'm just making fun, but you know.
Yeah. Oh, and that's what it's supposed to be too.
Okay.
Because all those personality profiling tests, a lot of people don't remember them, or they're so negative. And it's like, well, you're a red personality. I can't get along with you because you shouldn't be here. It's like every single person is one, and actually multiple of the archetypes.
Okay.
Because just because you're a warrior doesn't mean you're not a jester.
Of course, right.
You have each element inside you, and that's how we teach you how to balance that out so that you can be really successful as an entrepreneur or in business, because then you can pull from each archetype whenever you want on demand.
Right.
And you guys created this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's in the app.
Is it? Would you say that it's similar to like the Enneagram?
No,
No, not even close.
not even close.
Okay.
No, and I'm the biggest critic. Like, you know, Myers-Briggs is a great thing. It started, but it was, you know, it was more for corporate.
Okay.
It was a great
Yeah.
sales thing.
Right.
But if you look at it, it puts you in a box and
I was
says,
going to say, it's
Well,
like
that's
very
kind of
exact.
what yours.
No, quite the opposite. No,
yours
quite the
is
opposite.
kind of
no, ours is the opposite.
typecasting. Like if you're profiling and you're saying like, well, I think you may be a warrior,
No,
but maybe you have a little bit of jester in you.
you have all four. That's
Yeah.
what we said at the top of the show. I said, you're starting as a warrior,
Yeah.
but 75% of you is in the hidden potential. We teach you how to bring out of it.
Yeah,
out of
he's saying that
everybody.
he's not
Correct.
putting
No,
us in a box.
I don't
I'm
want you in a
saying
box.
set,
No.
remember?
Well, that's what you said,
Yeah.
but then you said you can profile people within
How they're
the
showing up at that
workspace.
Yeah,
moment.
how
Yeah,
you show
absolutely.
Okay.
Because everybody shows
Yeah.
up at
Right.
one time
Absolutely.
at one type of
Yes,
personality.
exactly.
The power of now.
Right.
It's
Let me
like,
use that.
yeah,
Gotcha.
it's
Okay,
if you-
okay.
Yeah. So like right now,
Okay.
if I say warrior now, that's who Chris is at the moment. Is that who
Moment.
Chris is?
Okay,
Hell
yeah.
no.
Right. Okay,
But if he's
because
showing up in an interview as a warrior, I'm like, okay, let me ask you some things about the other 75%.
It's like he's
Okay.
saying that
he's
whole
gonna-
best foot forward thing again. You know,
Gotcha.
like people always show
Right.
what they want you to see at the beginning. It's like
Correct.
when I meet people, they go, God, that guy's such an ass. I go, actually, he's pretty
He's a
cool.
sweetheart,
He just,
right?
that's,
Yeah.
He's just
Right.
portraying an ass.
Yeah.
I can
Right.
see right through
I just
you.
feel like
ass,
we have
you
so
know?
many levels to
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
and
right.
that
Totally.
the person you are, like I'm going to wake up tomorrow and have different feelings.
Right. Of
We
course.
have different feelings like every single day.
Every moment.
And it's changing within the moment.
But
Yeah, and
you,
there's not only
you're,
four.
You're good
We
at
have-
that. We're good at that. But what I'm saying is like we know a lot of people where you see them and they come every day, that same person, you're like going, dude, that's not really you. Like just be yourself. Like you're like
Monochromatic.
loosen up, you know, like or a girl who's like, you know, high and bitchy. It's like, I know there's a soft side to you, know, like, but people,
Yeah.
they always think because that's who they think they are, they come with that all the time. Because they don't know any different, you know. It's like sometimes, like I mean, I'll cry every now and then, you know. I'm like, I don't care if I fucking cry. I'll cry in front of anybody, you know. But I'm not going to
Yeah.
be macho man and say I don't cry. You know, I fucking cry. You know, it's like I'm the first to admit that. So, but there's people who just don't want to ever admit anything. They stick to this certain box, and they just that's all they think they are. So that's all. Yeah, yeah. That's
There's
all.
actually 16, as she was
Yeah,
saying.
there's quite a few
Right.
archetypes. So it's
Oh.
it's not
Yeah.
so
It's not the
that's
4.
no. Those are the 4 basic that people show up. You can go into the profane or you can go into the sacred. So that's lack of better words, leveling up or going to extreme darkness, something like the dictator.
Right.
So you could go down that path too, which is definitely not your warrior, wizard, bard, and your jester. So there's many different archetypes because you're right. Every single moment of every day, you shift your emotions. You
Yeah.
shift your personality. So you may be showing up as a jester in like 5 minutes when you walk outside and, strip your clothes off and run naked. Whatever it is,
Right.
that's your
Yeah.
jester
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
you
that's
know?
All right. I get that image.
That's a great commercial break. I'll be back, guys. I'm going to go put that in my head. Thanks, honey.
So there's many different types, and what it does is it allows you also to, in the dating scene, to really understand who you're with and who you're around and how to talk to them. Because many of us can get so irritated with
Right.
different personality types that you're not looking at the beauty of what they bring.
Agreed.
You're looking at all the negative of, oh my gosh, if they tell me one more freaking flaw, I'm going to punch them in the face.
Right.
As opposed to, sorry, as you take water, scene.
Another one. I gotta check that out too. I'm like, wow. Running naked, punch you in the face. That's 2 personalities. We've got 2 of the 4 already, right there. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where it's looking at everybody's strong suits and how they benefit either the relationship, that current moment, or a business aspect. Is that if we just stopped all the freaking judgment and looked at everybody as the archetypes, things would be a hell of a lot different, where it wouldn't be so negative all the time, especially those negative Nancys that are constantly beating up on people behind the scenes of,
Yeah.
hey, look at their mastership. Even though to you it may be irritating, that's their mastership. And they can do amazing things with those masterships. And just allowing and giving that space to be that creative or be that wizardry, whatever it is, or
Right.
to be that warrior.
Right. This is why, like I always, what we talked about before, why when someone tells me something, I always have to listen to both sides of it, and I never judge a side because you have to understand that that's your opinion or that's your view on that person, but there's always another side to that person.
Right.
Hopefully, so
Many.
yeah.
Many.
All right, so we're gonna continue with this because this filters in what you just said right now to our episode topic of the day, which I love. No, we always do this. We get everything in like this because now we're gonna jump into like a
Great
group thing, which
pre-show,
is
guys.
great.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And thank you for sharing because this is amazing. Will you please tell them the app, by the way, one more time? The app that they can probably
ahead.
You can
download?
either search Business Empire,
Okay.
that is the name of the app, or you can do Ultimate Business Quest.
Gotcha.
Either one, it'll pop up.
Yeah, I think you guys should check this out.
And it's the logo that's on Travis's hat. So
Nice.
it makes
Oh,
it
I love
pretty
the
easy.
logo as well. All right, so now we're going to delve into your story. So this topic of today, the episode is going to be called foundational love. How to build an incredible foundation in a relationship from the ground up. So it's all implies and
Wow.
jumps into what you're saying.
That's cool.
See, I got this,
Cool
right?
question.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, I need to
right.
shift archetypes. Hold on a
Right.
second.
So, all right. So I want to know your story and how you guys met, because I know I've talking with you and
Yeah.
looking at your background. You guys are a power couple, like hands
Thanks,
down a power
man. That's
couple, and I
cool.
love. I always say me and my girlfriend we're a power couple as well, because first of all, we do everything when we just know each other so well. When we're out, people are like, damn, you guys got your shit together. And I seek that out. Like the women that I seek out is somebody who can be my equal and stand by me when I'm low, she's high, and vice versa.
Amen.
So it's always this yin and yang, but I always got her back, she's got my back. And that's something that you said as well.
Yeah.
She has my back all the time. So this is why we have a good marriage here up here on this podcast. So
Absolutely.
So I want to know your story basically. Like, how did you guys meet? And I know
You always say I have a wizard's response, and
Yeah.
you have a beautiful bard response.
all right,
So-
let's hear it. Let's go with it. Yeah.
There's the wizard right there. Just want to see it.
So it's
Just want to point that out right
Women's
there. That's just, and there it is.
Tell me, what is the women's perspective?
We actually.
I want to hear that too, actually. Thank you, Christopher. I want to hear the wizard's perspective. Let's go.
Our business partner, well, his business partner at the time, and my mentor, an amazing soul. He had that fucker. He had meticulously
He's like,
thought. Yeah.
There's two archetypes.
Yeah,
Right, there.
right, there he goes.
See how that works?
See, I'm balancing it very well today. He had meticulously thought a year in advance before we even knew of each other
Right.
to get us in the same room.
Wow.
So he had been moving these pieces for quite some time. And I was with my ex-partner, and we walked into a meeting and met him, and I was like, oh shit. And it was just like this beautiful tunnel, and I didn't even know anybody was in the room. It was just him and I having a
That's the
conversation.
best.
There was two people with us. I don't even remember what they did, what they said, if they said anything. I don't know, and I don't really care.
So how did
But-
you guys gravitate at that point in your eyes? How did you see? Because if you only saw you two, who gravitated to whom first?
It was,
it was equal.
yeah, it was
I thought it was
very
equal.
equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say it was cataclysmic.
Yeah.
Right.
It was even to the point where I was like,
Oh shit.
oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I'm
that
like, this
15
wasn't the right
minutes. See, the
timing.
15
Yeah,
minutes.
right,
That was-
right. Mr. Universe,
You were-
I know timing. Your
Right.
timing sucks. This is not it.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to come right now.
I'm like, no.
Like I'm so
Yeah.
then we left the meeting, and I turned to my partner, which probably wasn't the best conversation. I was like, I'm gonna do something with that man someday.
At least it's
Nice.
wide open for a lot of conversations.
Right,
It's a whole
right.
nother
It
show.
does.
Just want to put that out there.
And then we had periodically saw each other in the same conference room
Okay.
multiple times, and never got each other's phone number. It just was that intense magnet. I mean, I even went to energy healers to try to get him out of my
Wow.
space.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
fuck yeah! It was I was like, can you cut the hook? And they're like, I can't. Like, there's something there that like, energetically you can't do anything about
Yeah.
it. I'm like, what did this man do to me?
He put a spell on her.
How much time has
He
gone
put his
on? How much
wizard
time?
spell on you.
This is 3 months
We
going.
teach that in the
Okay.
app too,
Wow.
but that's a different story.
3 months, I had left my partnership, started up, revived my business that I had currently at that time, and I call Ken, which is the man that brought us together. Super love that man though. And I said, hey, can we meet about my marketing agency and get this back rolling, because
Okay.
I've had it for about 8 years and just had a few clients, but I wasn't at the peak with it. I stepped away from another company, and he's like, yeah, absolutely, and set up the time and date. And while I was driving and almost to Vegas, he's like, oh, by the way, Travis Fox is going to be there. I was like, oh shit, this isn't business anymore. Like, I wanted to know what that was. And I
Right.
walked in, and my assistant at the time was sitting on the couch, and Ken just is like, okay, you guys got it after 5 minutes. I'm like, what are you up to?
Like he left you in a room
Yeah.
Left
together?
us.
Just left.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
All
our,
right,
my
thanks.
assistant was there.
Did he know?
Oh, he,
yeah.
he
Set them up.
methodically
Yeah.
planned it
Yeah.
for a very long
We didn't
time.
know.
We didn't
Yeah.
know.
He did.
Yeah.
And
We found out
so
later.
We were having multiple layered conversations in front of my assistant at the time, and it was just this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and there was so much heat in the room. I'm like, dang, like, are we melting everybody? Because
Right.
it was just this beautiful undercurrent of shit.
Yeah,
Like
that's
we're
the best.
yeah, it was such a magnetic pull, and then after that point, there was not maybe 30 minutes was the longest we went without, like, with texting.
Okay.
We could not stay away for more than 30 minutes. And then now, like, I think since we've actually been together full time, I think there was maybe 2 nights we've spent away from each other. Maybe. It's you can count it on one hand.
How
'cause
long
I
have you
just
guys
don't
been
like
together?
it.
In this life or total? Previous lives were about 3,000 years.
Probably.
Yeah, we've actually gone back and done that too. That's a whole
Yeah.
nother conversation. But we went back and did a couple past lives. We're like, okay, that explains
Yeah,
a few
I believe in
things.
that
We're
stuff,
like,
too.
yeah, we're like, wait
Yeah.
a minute. Yeah, especially
Right.
my background, I was like, oh, I got to check this shit out.
Right. All right. In this life, then, how long?
Actually, in this life, 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's
that's
it?
magnetic.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. I was thinking like
Longer, right?
yeah, like
Thank
10,
you.
That's a lot.
15
Thank
years.
Thank you. Yeah, people are like, you guys should be married for 30 years. I'm like,
That's what I was like
not far
thinking
from
that
the
you guys
truth
have been together for
energetically.
such a long time.
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
And you don't. And
Ironic.
It's like you.
But
they say
time,
the
I'm
honeymoon
not, like-
stage. Exactly.
Yep.
It's like time is irrelevant,
Yes.
especially in that space.
It's yeah.
And it's keeping that honeymoon stage alive every single day of every moment. It doesn't have to fade.
Yeah, that's
Right.
something I don't understand. Maybe
don't
you're
get
joking
that.
because people go, "Oh, the honeymoon phase is over." I go,
No.
Why?
Well, that's the dumbest thing I'd ever
yeah.
heard.
Then who wants to sign up for that?
Thank
Not
you.
me.
Yeah.
Right? I don't.
anything,
think
I
you want to
already
keep it-
know it's like I see my dad, and my dad is, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
So my dad's like, the second you're not having fun anymore, he's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't have to be hard.
Right.
It doesn't.
So
Right, and that's what we of course, you know, I'd been married once before, 17 years. To
Right,
my
okay.
ex, and I'm best friends with my
Yeah,
ex-wife and
same.
her
You
you
husband.
were married for 17 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was married almost 12.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like
Wow.
bookends.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we're all
Yeah.
relative. Everybody's got the same
Yeah.
concept.
That's why I'm saying there's
Yeah.
a soulmate out there. There's not just one. There's like there's
so true.
multiple
Yeah.
soulmates, and,
And
you
so
just gotta.
I have a very different definition of marriage. Marriage to me makes no sense.
I don't.
Right.
I'm not a
Well,
fan
she's-
either.
yeah.
I don't get it.
Psychologically, it actually turns
again,
you
it's,
off.
It does that to a lot of
it's
people.
social
Right.
conditioning. It's
Yep.
like
Right.
it's what society tells us we should be doing when
Right.
the government
Yeah.
doesn't need to be involved in my relationship.
We were just talking
I
about
literally
that.
just said those exact words. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't need the government to tell me I'm married. I decide if
Yeah,
I'm
I'm in a committed
committed.
relationship
Right.
with you, and that's all I need.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like you know, I know. We don't need anyone else.
No, otherwise it's just tax benefits. Let's call it what it is.
That's what I just said.
Right.
Yeah. Do you
So we
need the
want you to get married
insurance,
quickly so we can get the
savings, and
dual tax
insurance?
benefit 'cause we know it's
What
expensive
do you
to
do?
get married.
I don't get it.
No, I never got
Doesn't
it.
make sense.
It's so weird. And then the shit that they say, like,
Right. Well, and then you go back
I
to
don't even know what this means. Like, what are you talking about?
Right, and that's what we talk about the 6 months. Like, gee, when I first dated you, you were so and so, and now all of a sudden you've changed. No,
No shit.
They've been
Well-
acting the whole first 6 months and not being consistent.
That's
What
true.
about when people say, okay, why did you get divorced?
Right.
Oh, she's not the same person I married. Well, no shit.
No shit.
I
Yeah.
hope she's not.
Exactly.
Like, we
Right.
should be growing and evolving. So,
Right, just
exactly.
like you. Exactly.
And you grow together, like
Right.
you were saying,
Yeah.
is that you always are
So
growing
this
together.
is why, like I told
Yeah.
my ex when we got divorced, I said, I read her something just in therapy on that last day when I decided, okay, then we're done or whatever like that. I said,
Right.
I told her, I said, then I'm sorry I didn't live up to my end of the bargain because like she needed growth from me and and I didn't grow
Wow.
the way she wanted to, which I understood going, wow,
Wow.
I'm sorry that I did not live up to my end of the bargain. And
Right.
that's- and that
Really
was the
What a
last thing I
beautiful
said.
ownership, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Because
Congratulations.
once again, it's like it wasn't my ego in the way. I understood what she needed. I just couldn't get there,
Or
And
chose
then
not to.
Right, and
That's
she
it.
finally put the kibosh on, and I was like,
Yeah.
I fucked up. Like it's just I'm sorry. It wasn't
yeah,
right.
but can you really be responsible for
No,
her
not
happiness?
responsible for her happiness, but when she asked if you could do this, and you know
Oh.
what, she didn't sit there and just out of the blue ask me. It was like she asked for a while, and I just couldn't keep up with the ask, and so
Okay.
she finally had enough. So my response was like, like you're a great woman. We're still best friends, like you said, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I didn't live up to what you needed to be, and which is a legitimate. I think it's a valid answer.
I
You know,
don't.
because most people like it's like
I don't.
What's that?
I don't.
Think it's not a valid answer?
No.
Okay.
What are you going to do with all that guilt and shame? And
No,
what-
I don't have any guilt or shame at all.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about macros.
Oh,
Where
gotcha.
we say, well, I didn't live up to my end of
Yeah,
the bargain.
right,
Or maybe you
right.
just made a different choice and you weren't
Right.
owning it authentically
And
with your
that's
partner.
what I
As
meant to
opposed to
say.
saying,
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
didn't live up my... Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not saying anything wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
But when we go down that road,
Well,
again,
when
we're
he
back
says
to...
that, it doesn't make sense
Okay.
to me.
Right.
I
But
don't understand.
At the
But also,
time when I
too,
said it,
you're
it
exactly
wasn't.
right.
I didn't look anywhere
Oh, of
beyond
course
that,
not.
for me,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I
Right.
knew that's
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
When we start, but again, to the points,
Getcha. I
we're
get
taking
that.
on that responsibility, but what we don't realize when we say that, we also then take that to the next relationship.
Yeah.
Now the next filter is, well, I've got to be committed and I've got to make sure I live up to my word, which means now all of a sudden you're putting on this other act
Right.
to fulfill as opposed to, maybe I just chose not to do this anymore. And
Yeah.
that's okay too.
Well, see,
because we're all on our individual journey.
It's funny,
Anyway, you like
it's
it,
funny you
right?
say that, Charles,
Right?
because the next relationship I went in, like, and she's amazing, and we've been together almost 5 years now, and it's that thing when I had to read her something like, don't ever come and judge me for this da 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 in a like a nice fun way, and she goes, I would never do that. I go, good, percent, do it away, and we're done.
Right.
Because I wanted to make sure I was coming into a relationship that you want me for me. You know what I mean? And I want you for you. And I don't want anything that's going to blindside me in any weird sort of way, just because everyone has
That's the wizard talking right there.
Everyone has a preconceived notion of what, like you said, when you're with someone, what they want that person to be or who you want to be with. Even though you say you don't at the beginning, somewhere down the road, it does shift. It does shift where it's like, well, I thought you were going to be this way or this way. And it is an ebb and flow. And that's all I was trying to get at. It's like, look, I will grow with you and I will be there for you, but everybody's their own person. You know what I mean? You can't tell me how to be. You love me for me, or you like me for me, and you see all the good qualities and the bad. That's all I was trying to say. So, and most people,
Well, let's have some fun with that.
Yeah.
Who said inequality was bad?
Who said what's that?
Who said
It's
it?
perception.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Right.
Who said
right.
inequality was bad?
Right. This is right.
And this is what.
Because to me,
Yeah,
I
go.
could say that's an awful quality, but to her, she's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
Correct.
Right.
Subjective.
Right.
Yeah.
So what if you come to I'm just exploring me. You just happen to be in the room while I'm doing it.
Right. See?
Right? I'm exploring me. She'll reflect it back to me and I'll go, shit, I've never seen me in that way. But since I can't see me, I can look in the mirror, but I can't
Right.
see my thoughts,
Right.
but I see it in real time. And I stare at her and she goes, well, let me reflect this back to you. And not from a judgment, hey, you're a fucking asshole, blah, blah, blah. She
Yeah.
just goes, let me reflect this back to you. And I'm like, shit, thanks.
Yeah.
So now the relationship truly comes, and then I do the same thing for her. And now all of a sudden it becomes this ebb and flow. And you're exactly right. We're not even the same people we met.
No.
Right. And this is what
And
I'm
I don't want to
talking
be
about.
that person
But
because I did that
you're probably
chapter.
so much more evolved because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
able to feed off one another.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
He's creating growth within you,
Right.
and you're able to contribute. So it's almost like, yeah.
And this is
that's
why-
that
Oh, she
pull
makes
that you're
look,
talking about.
She's been one of my best teachers. True story. People are like,
that.
well, Travis, you teach all this. I'm like, yeah, well, it doesn't mean I know everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's probably opened up a whole
Oh,
other world
right.
for you.
Multiples. Are you kidding? Shit, I'm still on the journey. I'm like, well, I haven't even got to that planet
Right.
yet. I'm like, what the fuck's over there? I check that shit. I got to hang out with those people. And so what we did is we started really looking at it. And I think that's when we first talked was people always say, well, I can't work with my partner, which boggles me. I don't get it.
Yeah.
If I'm in a relationship, I want to be in a relationship. Otherwise,
like
I'll just
that
go be a
too.
douchebag.
I like
right?
it.
I can be a douchebag without your help. I don't need your help. So when we really looked at it, we said, what was missing in our previous relationships that we always wanted to really experience? And she built companies, I built companies, but we never had a partner where we were truly building from ground zero. Like, this is the idea. This is the inception. We're going to take this from founder to funding to fortune. We're going to do it together all the way. And we're going to invite our friends to come with us and have a blast. Never done it. We've been in the boardrooms. We've yelled and screamed. We've had the divorces. We've had the break. I mean, not all that shit too. All it does is add gray hairs and it's not entertaining. Why not just take the adventure of a lifetime? Because isn't that what a relationship really is?
Yes.
Is an adventure.
Yeah. Right.
So why not go, I want to go on an adventure of a lifetime, build companies, have a great relationship, fuck your brains out all over the world, do every drug possible if that's what you want to do,
Right.
and go experience it because, again, the longest relationship is going to end with death. Death's coming, kids. So it's time to grow up and look at that. And I don't mean grow up and being an adult, but grow up and just own it. That's the darkness we run from. I don't want it to end. I don't want you to change. Fuck off. I want you to change right now.
Yes,
please keep
please.
evolving.
Please,
Show me
yeah.
other parts of your archetypes,
Right.
personality. Show me everything.
Agreed.
Because I get to go, what the hell does that feel like when you do that or she does this? I go, well, that's different.
Right.
Yeah, and
I like-
trying things out
Yeah.
and being like, hey, and having that open communication of, we went down that path. I'm not sure I quite enjoy it. And you can talk
Oh, yeah,
about
you
it
did.
and
Exactly.
Yeah, you did.
all of it.
This is why I'm talking about right now. Why this is the perfect episode for you guys called
Not really.
Foundational Love, because it's that thing where we're basically, but two things. First of all, you guys already had like energy when you met, and that's it's not that it's rare, but it's something that everyone seeks right there. So when you guys came into this, hold on. When you
No,
guys
I'm-
came,
I'm actually
when you
just
guys
checking it
came
out.
in this
Yeah.
together, like you both were at the same place, but that heat that you felt were just like you're alike in a good way of challenging each other. But the communication side of it, I don't think was much of a problem at the beginning either, was it?
Oh, not at all.
Exactly.
We threw every
Oh, no.
single
Right.
skeleton in
Okay.
our
See, and
closets.
I
It's like,
love
that.
hey,
Right, I love
well,
that.
take this. And I was like, well, yeah, that was nothing. Here,
Yeah.
why don't you
And
chew
that's
on
the
that
thing,
one?
and that's the thing right there. So you threw it out there and the other one didn't scoff at it as
Not
well.
at
So
all.
this is a good relationship and this is why you guys work so well. One thing that I try to tell everyone is that anyone can go along for the ride and give you lip service. Like,
Right.
yeah, I can do that. And then all of a sudden 6 months, like you said, they're like, yeah, it's just not what me anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can't work with you. I can't really
Just
go on
not
that,
into that.
sex trip. I can't do that. It's like, what happened all of a sudden? Like something died off. That honeymoon phase that we're talking
Yes.
about.
Or
Why
what
can't
was the
we-
presentation up front because you wanted me to like you, and now
Right.
that presentation's there because you feel safe because we're in a relationship.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you bait and switch. Shit. And that's why like dating apps and all that become difficult. I mean, people put up pictures that are from 40 years ago and they show up and like, hell no. Here's the bill. Fuck it, I'm out. I'm like, that's some bullshit, right? And I'm like,
Right.
so what we did was really different, and it was a risk for both of us. But we really, at that point, we were both had got to the effort stage. We'd got to the point of like, hey, if we're gonna do a relationship, we're gonna do it all the way out, or I'm gonna take a backpack, do a walkabout in Australia, and just say fuck off for life. I'm done for a while.
Okay.
And we really started looking at the relationship dynamic, and one of the things that she said that struck me, and just I went, I fucking love that. That's sexy as fuck. I want to rip your clothes off right now. That's so cool. And I don't care if the people at the boardroom, fuck them, they can watch. OnlyFans, let's do it. All right, let's go. Right? We started looking at, like you said, challenge each other. We don't challenge each other. There's no need to challenge. Challenge is an opposing force, right?
Right.
And it doesn't sound like a lot at the surface level, but at an internal level, it has all kinds of variances that go with it. So we start unpacking those, it gets different, as opposed to we said, well, you know what? Everybody says they want to meet their match. Great. Here's the problem with that. If you meet your match, it's an opposing force.
Yeah.
Like in boxing, you meet your opposing force, it's always a stalemate. We said, well, why don't we make our match? And so you
great
make your
way to say
matches.
it.
What is it I really, 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 really want? Which is what the game we were playing with each other was. Okay, let's play. This is what I really want. She's like, oh yeah, I see that. I'm gonna raise you 2. And I'm like, that's
Right.
sexy. I want that too. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna throw these 4 at you. And she's like, okay, great. And that included the light and the dark. And that was the part for me when I went, okay, I'm gonna change my life here. I'm gonna go this direction. I'm gonna chase what everyone says is it's insane. What are you doing, Travis? You know, don't do this. You've got all these other stuff. And I was like,
Beautiful darkness.
yeah,
Yeah.
we call it the beautiful
That's
darkness.
great.
And matter of fact, one of our holding companies is called Beautiful Darkness. And people are like, well, how can the darkness be beautiful? I'm like, isn't that where the truth lives? So either you're about the truth or you're about bullshit. I'm okay with both, but don't try to sit there and tell me you're about truth when you're full of shit.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. And then blame your partner for not fulfilling your needs. And, oh, you changed and you showed up. And, well, you didn't change. Move your ass. What the fuck? Change is constant. Have you done any education in your life? Anywhere? Change is constant. Even since we've been in this show, this room's already changed. The 4 of us are forever changed. It's impossible not to.
Right.
So when you look at it from that, how come we're so afraid to be on an adventure with our partner? And that was the base plate of our relationship. We said, we're going to be on an adventure. We're going to go experience everything. And we're going to, may not do it twice, but at least go experience it. And then what did you feel about it? And as opposed to going, well, I like this and you don't want to do it, you're a bitch. As opposed to, okay, I totally understand. I can see
Yeah.
why you didn't like that. Is there a way we can create different experiences together? Right? Like people like, you know, I think it was one of your episodes and I forget which one it was. I had watched and you guys were talking about people wanting to go into open marriage. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong with open marriage? If you discuss it. But I think the challenge with open marriages and on our conversations is always, it ends up being, instead of being, we're doing this together and you happen to be something that we're pleasuring ourselves with or on, now it's about, oh, I'm going to shift my attention over there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the relationship dynamic is
Separate.
now in second position. Well, I hate to break it to you, what you focus on is what you create.
Exactly.
You can call it any way you want. You can call it power and pick whatever psychobabble bullshit you want to do on. What you focus on, what you create. So if you're focused on that third experience, entity, person, boom, the relationship suffers. As opposed to, we're going to pleasure ourselves and you get to be a part of this, and when we're done, go away. Because the
Right.
relationship is still the core. And so I've always looked at that, and it never made sense to me from the perspective of people going, well, and someone had said it, I don't know where the hell it is. Someone says, well, I don't want to share. I'm like, so let me get this straight. If you're a guy, guys, let's talk for just 30 seconds. You want, and we've all heard the song, you want a lady in the street and a freak in the bed. Okay, so you want her to be a freak in the bed. You don't learn that reading books.
Yep.
I hate to break it to you, homies. It didn't happen that way. She was fucking somebody else. Well, so
Right.
you need to own that and stop making it about your insecurity, because you weren't a virgin either. So how come we can't own the fact that, you know what? I said to myself, if you're, I need someone who
That's
is
very seasoned. I'm very glad you're very seasoned. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had nearly as much fun. So I really
Right.
appreciate
Right.
it.
That's what I said. I said, you've got to have more.
But I've had more. No, what?
But this
that's a true story.
But
Actually,
this is, by the way,
I'm a virgin.
But
She's,
this is
you know.
why I tell people, I say, when you meet someone, I go, you start from that point from there. It's
Right.
like you can't worry about what their past. Their past, their
Exactly.
past. Right now, I just know you now. People, if someone goes like they knew, they go, oh my God, you know that Michelle? I'm like, I don't care.
Or
All I
use
know
it-
is her now.
or-
Like I don't care.
or-
That's my philosophy.
Or use it erotically.
Yeah, like last
Tell me
Right.
what you want to have
Yeah,
a threesome.
exactly.
Tell me
Right.
about your past, because now it's a
Exactly.
fucking
It's just
threesome.
bettering my
I
life.
happen
That's
to be
all
in
I
the
gotta
room
say.
with you, and there's not a third party to fuck it up.
Yeah.
I was actually genuinely curious of how many crazy women are out there. So I asked him, I was like, hey, what women have you dated and what crazy shit did they do? And man, I hear a lot of interesting
Yeah, there's a
things.
lot.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're really like that?
Right. Just no different than a bunch of douchebags. I mean,
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's
totally.
the same thing.
It goes
I mean,
both
you can
sides.
But
attest
it
to both
makes it
sides
really
of
fun
that,
of like,
so.
okay, this is what all these experiences, that's how you were molded or shifted to who you are right now.
Right.
I love your past. I love everything about you because there's nothing I don't love.
Thank you.
See,
You're very welcome.
see you guys out
It's
there
true.
listening to this
Maybe
episode
two-
right now.
Oh,
These two
it's
lovebirds.
No, we're good. Sorry, we had our moment.
no.
Oh, we're back now.
Right.
That was a commercial break.
But
Sorry.
this, once again, but this is why you guys, thank you for both being on the show like this,
Thank you
because
for
this
having
is
us.
something that people need to hear, because I am an advocate of this right here.
Thanks,
This is
man.
what
Thank
I pride myself in finding this, and I have.
You did.
And I once again thank you for the terminology, because I'm going to start trying to change that.
How's that try working?
Not building each other. What was the word you used? The match. Your matching.
making your match.
Making your match. Like I always try to make my match by helping each other like build out, like throw those little quips out there, and I love it. Especially when the other one's ready to volley it back to me.
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
See how I put tennis in there?
And
No.
I love you did that.
Thank
man.
you.
See, you
Yeah.
can just stroke it, hit it. It's all about it's about sticks and balls, right? That's why golf's a strange game, right?
What was that loop called again?
Golf never made sense to me. I'm like, wait a minute, this game's all about sticks and balls. Get it in the hole. That makes sense, but we're supposed to do the least amount of strokes.
Yeah. Ooh.
Who the hell came up with that
That's a
concept?
weird game.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's right. You guys were playing with the sheep back then. Nah, I get it. Got it. All right, got it.
Right.
But when you look at making your match, and even people go, well, what does that mean? For us, it was going, what do you really want? And then dropping into the dungeon of you too, because that's where it really hangs out. Because that's when the 6-month or the 12-month or we've gotten married now, all these other things show. You know, I've always wanted to try. Well, how come you didn't say that in date 1?
Like, give me an example of what you call the dungeon. Like, what would
I'll
be,
give you an example
yeah,
from
give me
Dungeon
an
Rain.
example.
I was sexually molested as a kid when I was early, right?
Okay.
It was
Okay.
by a male. That most women can't handle that. They're like, well, you've been with a guy. I'm like, I was molested, you idiot.
Yeah.
Right?
How old were you?
The first time or the second time?
Okay, because I'm similar.
Yeah, I think many of us are.
Okay.
My first time I was 4 years old. Second
Okay.
time I was 7. Third time was when I was 13.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, so similar to me.
Yeah. So
Like,
you
I
take that
had
sexual
3 or
trauma.
4.
Right. But I was also, now here's the hypocrisy, calling myself out, right? At 13, I lost my heterosexual virgins. Jesus, Travis.
Virginity.
Thank you. That's sound like 2 words. Sorry, my virginity to a 29-year-old woman who I was with for 2 years at the exact same time
At 13?
at 13. Now you hear that as an adult and you're like, that pedophile bitch.
Right.
But at 13, I was like, this is cool as shit. This is great. I'm learning everything.
Right.
Right. This was fantastic. But
You
if you look
probably
at it,
liked it.
oh no, I
Mrs.
didn't like it. I
Robinson.
fucking loved it.
Like,
Are you
yeah.
kidding me? I won
Right.
golf tournaments from that shit. I
Yeah.
learned all
Yeah.
kinds of shit. I learned where the G spot was. I was like,
Yeah.
that's how you find
Thank
that.
And then
you,
I'm
ma'am.
like, thank you,
Right?
older
Yeah.
woman, for doing the training.
Right.
Because you were prepped and ready. So
Right.
I really
but for
appreciate it.
many people, if we tell someone up front, hey, by the way, I was sexually molested, so
Yeah.
my version of love when I was younger and is shrouded in trauma. Whereas
But is it really trauma?
Well, he's saying for other people's point
Yeah,
of view.
for many people.
From a
I
lot
didn't
of
say
people.
mine. I
Okay,
just said
yeah, from other
yeah.
people's
Right,
point of view.
right. Because you get
Okay.
religious or cultural influences that say, well, according to that religion, you've sinned because you were with another man. I was 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was bigger than me. What do you want me to do?
Right.
So is that still a sin?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's your religion. You judge it.
Yeah.
Again,
My-
yeah,
my-
I'm not a fan
Right.
of organized religion.
Well, yeah, we'll all mirror that one. I'm like, okay, again, you call it spirituality
yeah.
and religion. They're 2 very different things. And so when you say something like that, hey, by the way, I'm going to let you know this is something that I've been working through. Now, on the fantasy side of that, you can take that and rework your story with a partner who is not afraid of it to go, hey, I get that you went through that molestation. I get that being with a 29-year-old woman for 2 years from 13 to 15 in your formative years of your life is going to give you a very distinct different version of what the average 13-year-old who's jerking off it and trying to hold hands and go steady.
Right.
And then you have a great partner
Right.
that's like, hey, let me just rewrite that for you.
Yeah, and you rewrite the story. So you rewrite it in
Anyway.
real time, commonly called immersion therapy. So you're actually in the act with your partner and you're going through that, but your partner is then rewriting the story with you. So now all of a sudden that trauma, now all of a sudden becomes a pleasurable
Like a
experience.
positive experience.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
now I'm
great.
not carrying the weight.
But even if you didn't have her, were you able to do that on your own?
Yes, but not as effectively because it was an outside experience.
Right.
So
And
there's a third party that was creating, in this case, the sexual trauma. Right. So I can go and work it through myself, but I can only see it through my perceptual values until I reorganize down here. See, down in
Which
Gen-
you're saying is
the
the dungeon.
or shadow for
Okay.
simplicity, which is where our emotional trauma really lives, and which really what drives our subcon and which drives our conscious and how we see and frame the world. So I see and frame the world that, oh wow, all women are that sexual. No, they're not.
Yeah.
And she was 29, I was 13, so I see it from that frame. Well, that's not how. And guess what? Our relationship was based on sex. It wasn't like we were going to hang out and get married.
Yeah, it was strictly sexual
Bingo.
connection.
So my world when I'm younger is the relationship, if it doesn't have sexual connotation and we don't click sexually, I don't give a shit about anything else you're
Got
going to say to
that.
me. I'm done. That's how
Yeah.
it framed me. And it took me a long time to unwind. Wait a minute. Its relationship has to be more than sex. And yet, let's be honest, family, many of us start off relationships in lust and confuse it with love. Card carrying member. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You're the shit. You're what I've looked for. I love
Yeah.
how we have sex. I love being around you. That's not love yet. It's just carnal. I just enjoy fucking the shit out of you. And I enjoy our physicality. Love comes from time and respect, right? And if your relationship is based completely on sex, respect will eventually wane.
Yes,
it
it will.
always does. It has to. I lose respect for you. I've got my eye starts to wander, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Some of it's a little cliche. So for us, it was like, hey, tell me about all your trauma. And by the way, when we get into her story, if you choose to share it, it's up to you. All right, her story is equally, and in some cases, more cataclysmically traumatic than my own. But it took us both going through that 30-year journey to be able to meet each other to go, oh, hi, you're a whore, so am I.
Right.
I need one because I only like whores because guess what? I've tried the Mike and Mary married thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's- I
can't do it.
That's the thing, though.
Not
You-
And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
You
You're a
have to
whore.
go-
I'm a whore too. That means we're that's just a
you have to go
genderized
through
thing.
the experiences though to get to that place, and just think
Right.
of like so
Correct.
for me, which you know, and everybody on the who's listening knows that my girlfriend, you know, I met her. We dated for 5 months before I got married, and so I broke with her, and I said, look, for the first time in my life, I want to be a stand-up guy. For some weird reason, I was like, I don't want to cheat. I want to do this. I go, I need to break up with you because I think I found another potential. She's a little more crazier than you. She was in a residency at the time, right? So broke with her, started
Wow.
dating this girl who became my wife 17 years, which was great.
Wow.
So after we broke up, for some weird way, the ethos put us like me saying happy birthday. She was in LA, which I thought she was not in LA, but she lived there now. We got back together for like 2 weeks later, planted a kiss on her in 10 minutes. We've been inseparable for 5 years, right?
Awesome.
So the thing of what I'm getting at is the fact that she even said if we would have stayed together back then, we would not have worked because
Right.
I was not in the headspace. She was doing something, and so I would have lost on all
And that
this.
curiosity
now.
becomes.
Correct. So you
Right?
guys have
Becomes something.
grown to that moment, which is amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Love that.
And then we've written, I've lost count now, but we've rewritten so many stories on both
Oh,
sides.
yeah.
Her,
That's
her
so
story
great.
is something that I'm equally as passionate about, and in some cases more than my own.
Let's hear yours.
Yeah, hers is pretty powerful.
So when I was 17, I went and started working at a Trouble Team boarding school that's north of Las Vegas. It was in Armagosa Valley, Nevada. And I had just actually got out of one of the boarding schools out of New York. And I went on Match.com and I wanted to date because I missed my entire senior year because I was in a Trouble Team boarding school. And when I found a firefighter and thought everything was, you know, great and wonderful, and started dating this man, and there was one night that I had a little bit more energy, and he was like, hey, go hang out with my friend, he's a really solid guy, and go to the Venetian. I said, okay. So I went to the Venetian, and he had been talking to me the whole night about all of his models. I was like, well, I did modeling, and I really wanted to be a model. I was in pageants and was like, okay. So I went and did this photo shoot, did all of my, you know, W-2 information, put everything down of my entire like world. Did the photo shoot. He was like, hey, there's an initiation party. Everybody comes. We'd be happy to have you. Welcome to the team, blah, blah, blah. I walk in and he's the only one there. And everything in my being dropped. And I started to back up and walk away. And the last thing I remember is being thrown against the wall, raped. And I thought I was going to die that night because I couldn't breathe. There
Right.
was so many times. And he threw a bottle of wine at me and he said, I own you. You have 24 hours. And if you don't comply, I'll kill your family in front of you. And it will be brutal. And that moment, I just sat in the corner. I drank the whole bottle of wine very quickly. And I was in sex trafficking for a year.
Wow.
And it's the pivotal moment where I left was I was sent to San Francisco for 2 weeks straight, and I had 8 to 10 clients a day. I was beyond physically and emotionally exhausted after the first week. And I remember going up to the rooftop. They had a rooftop deck, and being like, how do I get out of this? What do I do? And went down to my next client, and he was like, whoa, you're not actually wanting to be here. And he said, this is not what I signed up for. You're too beautiful. You're too smart. Take my money and get out, please.
Glad there
Didn't
was
touch
one.
me, walked out.
Wow.
And I started sobbing. I was like, this is my opportunity. If I have an opportunity, right now is it. So I called down. I was like, please send the biggest man possible to my door. Like, my life is in danger, because I knew he was coming that day to collect money and whatnot, make sure I was doing what I was supposed to. And I went out in style. I called the limo. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm taking your money and I'm going to buy a fucking limo. I'm like, so I remember sitting at the airport shaking, and I was like sweating, and I'm like, I got this. I can do this. Had a glass of wine, which he called, and he started to yell at me of like, and I have stories in between of trying to escape and whatnot, but this moment he was like, if you don't get back, I'm gonna, the whole song and dance again. And I said, you know what, fuck you.
Good for you.
And I said, I will burn your world to the ground. I said, you made one fundamental mistake. You let me too close. I know everything about your organization. I know how to bring you down, and I will. Leave me the fuck alone. Don't touch my family, or I will hunt you. And I hung up the phone. I was like, holy shit, did I just do that? I was like, so then it was, it was a midnight run. I went into Vegas. I grabbed everything. And I bailed. I laid low. I didn't go on social media. I was dark for about 10 years because I had so much trauma, and the relationship I was in couldn't handle even this conversation that I just had. Couldn't do it. It was throw it under the rug. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. I was like, okay. So it felt like I was this soda can being shaken all the time that I just wanted to explode because I never could talk about it. There wasn't a single person I could talk to about it.
See, I don't understand that. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I just never
crazy.
understand. Like, I'm listening, going, it's like you're such an amazing woman. It's like that's a part of your story, and like thank you for sharing. Like, I look at you like how I'm sure it is. Like, oh well, it just made you a better person, and look how strong you are now. I see the strength in this beautiful woman, and that's all I see. Like, all that is just your past, and that's something I try to tell people. Go, you cannot sit there and judge or try to kind of skate around someone's story of their life just because it makes you feel
uncomfortable.
Right, uncomfortable. Right. It's so fucked up.
And if you're uncomfortable, look in your own dungeon.
Thank you very much.
Look in your own shit.
That's correct.
Why we can't share things like that.
And then what's the point of being in a relationship if you can't?
If I can't, then I just don't want any part of it.
Makes
If
no
I can't
sense.
be myself and real and share, then because it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's like a you problem, and I kind of don't want any part of it.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah, it's
And
so
your
true.
problem becomes your problem. I mean, their problem becomes yours. And you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm taking on your shit.
I can't do it.
That's
I'm
not us
doing
working
it.
together. That's me
Yeah.
carrying it for you.
Right.
And there's times for that. Like you talk about the ebb and flow in your
course.
relationship. But like that conversation, and for me, I'm Dr. Fox. I never talked about being molested my entire 20s. Would not say
Thank you for
frickin'
sharing that
word
too.
about
Why
it.
not?
Thank you.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it ruined the social image.
Right, I get that.
Right?
Yeah.
Dr. Heal Thyself became imperative. The problem was, I was on television, I was on stage, I was doing 200 dates a year, and it all has a very particular image. Back then, we didn't have podcasting. So
Right.
when you're on media, it's like, Well, today we're on AM 47, and doggone it, that's a great show. We'll be right back, and fuck off.
They're like, what the fuck did he just talk about?
Yeah, it's like, who's the psychopath over there, bro? Don't book that guy again.
booked him?
Right? And so, you have to have the,
Yeah.
it's
Right. Well, it's the same reason
presentation
why
versus
in
the bullshit.
sports, it's as we all know, sports, like actors, all that stuff,
Correct.
But I like the fact that people are coming out now. I like the fact that,
Yeah.
it is changing
I mean, look
slowly.
at
a
the
little
Johnny
bit at a
Depp
time.
thing. Holy
Yeah,
hell.
that's
Talk about
really
hanging
messed up.
laundry
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah.
real. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, Johnny Depp's a great actor.
Right.
So is she. What does that have to do with real life?
Right.
And that's exactly where we get stuck. We get stuck in our fantasy world
Mm-hmm.
in here that we constantly replay. Most of it is on autopilot. From either a trauma event, a previous relationship, business failure, whatever it is. We keep playing it over and over again, and we look at the world with hope, but we're planning for, and then it's like one step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back. So really, I would say in the simplest of languages, what the Ultimate Business Quest is about rescuing ourselves from mediocrity.
Yeah. I like
Because
that.
mediocrity is slow death. It's the death of 1,000 cuts. Like if you just want to punch your ticket, be a jester, go live in the woods. Good
I
on
don't
you,
wanna
mate.
be there.
Do your thing, right? If mediocrity, and it comes in many forms. To your point, to answer your question, in my 20s, that was mediocre, because everything else around it looked great.
Yeah.
On the inside, I'm like, I am so full of shit. If anybody knew what my real experience was, how I grew up, how my life changed, my relationship with my father, oh man, it would ruin my image. Because that's what you're told. You have managers and agents, everyone around you going, hey man, you're on camera, you got 15 seconds, you got to nail this, and we got to get him to this event, or hey, we're promoting the new book.
Everything's on record.
Everything-
That's true.
Everything's
That's
on
true.
Everything's on
And it's-
record.
it's, yep,
and I'm like,
documented forever.
and,
Right.
and my response is, thank God, because I can't remember half the shit. Right? Thank you. Finally, for the first time in history. And my dear friend, his name is Andrew Fisher, who does some somatropic breathing exercises and workshops that are amazing around the world. Dear friend, we've been friends all the way back since PGA Tour. He just said to me, he goes, Foxy, here's the deal. He goes, for the first time in history, you can document from the moment you're born to the moment you die.
Yeah.
No one else in human history has ever had that opportunity. So whether you put it on social media, that's your journey. But if not, document the hell out of everything so you can remember that
Right,
experience.
for
And if
your own
nothing
personal.
else,
Yeah.
pass it on. Pass it on to your kids. We both have kids. We have 5 between us, obviously not at the same time. And I'm a grandfather. Hopefully that makes me a gilf. We'll see. Right?
I think you are.
Thank you. That's all that
Yeah.
matters. And so
You're right.
I think I am too. So that's kind of we've got 2 in the room now.
Technically, I'm a GILF.
You are.
That's-
Take that.
yeah,
You are
I
a
am.
gilf. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't like that though. That,
Yeah. What?
Yeah, grandmother. I mean, grandmother in my head is like,
Grandma.
you want some
I'm
meatballs?
sexy grandma.
You are definitely a
Nothing
sexy
wrong with
grandma.
that.
Grandma.
Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What?
And a great aunt, great uncle. Yeah.
Wow.
Why'd you point at me?
Yeah.
I'm great uncle.
Because
Am I a nephew?
you are
you
also a
saying?
great uncle. You are a great uncle.
You get a star. Yay. So yeah, I mean, and now, and thanks to podcasting, which is, thank you for being so patient for us to be on the show. I really appreciate both of you.
I'm
doing
happy
that,
to
'cause
have
I know
you here.
that
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, thanks.
we tend to be much more, like we'll get it booked.
Right.
But it was the right timing. As with podcasting now, with the mainstream media, we couldn't say these things. Jamie, you know that. You guys have been in media a long time. I couldn't say these things on camera.
No.
We just did mainstream media, 4 days ago. And if I had talked about that openly, the whole piece has nothing to do with what we're actually
course,
doing to help
yep.
businesses actually become prolific.
And all of a sudden, that 10-minute fluff piece went to like 2 minutes. Oh,
Right, it's like, well, that was great. The producer's like this going,
You know,
get us out.
What did
Right?
he say on the David Letterman show? I guess like if no one came with a great story before, you would know if he's going to kick you off the show early on
Yep.
or not. So you better have a story. And usually, if that person's in the chair after the commercial break, they did something right.
They did something right.
Yeah.
And you could tell by how he leaned in.
Yeah.
Or he like, okay, so we're going to be right back. And he sit back in his chair. So you're watching his body like, oh, they're dead. And so when you look at that, we couldn't come out and talk about that.
Yeah.
Right? It always came out after you were famous, and then your fame kind of arced. So you had to come out with, I was a real rapist, I was a drug addict, whatever. Then we had to do it to kind of re-spark the interest again to get to your next thing, as opposed to, how about we're just consistent all the way through?
Right.
Podcasting really allows us to do that because we don't have FCC regulations. We speak as we normally speak.
Yeah.
Well, doggone it, Johnny. Everything's really sunny out there today on 102.7 KISS FM.
Right.
And, you're having a great time sitting in traffic, and, we're here to... Shut up. Right?
Right.
But, when we look at that era of the 50s and somewhat the 60s, but more the 40s and 50s coming in, that era and that generation, it was all about the image, about the family being protected. And that legacy has
but that-
bled in now to 4 generations until we finally got to this space where everyone's like, how about we just wear a hoodie? Why do I have to wear a suit and tie every day? That's dumb as a box of rocks. I hate it. I haven't worn a tie. I can't remember when. This is about as dressed up as I get.
Looks good.
Thanks.
I like that. That's not the same way. This is
Wait,
my
wearing hats
outfit
on media?
right here.
That's a no-no.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
What did I say? We were going to the Oscar event. I go, God, I got to put on a suit. And I was like, oh man. I was like, I don't like wearing suits. I
don't blame you.
I
like
mean,
it.
I look great in a suit. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like putting them on.
Right.
So I feel like
There's only 2 times to wear them.
Yeah.
So I
Weddings
cannot
and
imagine that
funerals.
every day. Yeah, every day doing that. Which is,
No.
yeah.
No.
Nuke,
So-
right? And we wonder why people had shallow lives. So realistically, it came to that same concept. So thank you, for having podcasts. Thanks for doing it because we know what it takes to put them together. This is not easy. And I know the entire team helps do it. And 2, because we can actually have the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing. It's true. If we want to have our freedom, and we got into business to have our freedom, we got into relations to have freedom, it's got to start with truth. And
Right.
some truths suck. I get it, but that's because we held on to what it's not so long.
But
Well,
they
yeah.
don't have to suck.
That's
Yeah,
true.
It's your
suck.
perception.
Yeah.
Again, back to perception.
Our perception, right?
Well, you
Example.
guys are inspiring. I can tell you that much. So that's why I'm glad.
Thanks, man.
He was like, "Can I get?" I was like, "Yes, please, both you guys, please come on," because I know once again, you're just an amazing gentleman, and then
thank
I know that, of course, if he's amazing, then I know he's going to be with someone amazing. So
Thank you.
Yeah, but now we're going to delve into the question of the day.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
So you guys get to use your expertise.
All right, hold on.
of being a couple.
We're in it now. Let's get on it. All right, we're going to get into
Let's see
it.
what I chose here. Okay. Oh, look at this one.
Question of the day.
Hey, Christopher, Yahadi, and sexy Jamie V. Love the show and listen every week. So just got married a few years ago to a guy who on paper has all the right stuff. And 15 years older, but in bed falls a little short in all categories, if you know what I mean. I'm a very sexual girl who knew what I was getting into, but honestly, I feel like I need more. I've tried to step up our sexual side by trying different games and role playing, but it still seems boring to me. Don't get me wrong, I think he's great in all the other categories of our relationship, but I need more zest in the bedroom and want to explore outside of our marriage. How do I approach this subject to him?
I would start with mindfucks.
Okay, go ahead. What does that mean? Explain. Go ahead.
Not the answer I thought you were going
I
to start
know,
with,
go
but that's
ahead.
awesome.
Explain,
I was like, that's
explain.
great.
I like the start of this.
Yeah, me too. I was like, great.
Do tell.
Yeah, right?
So-
Take me there.
So many times it's like I'm sorry, but porn and all that, it gets boring and it's so monotonous, and it's like, okay, great, and that's really creative with like the games and whatnot, but shifting your energy while you speak something, so whether it be some sort of fantasy that's going on in your mind and you're speaking it and semi role playing, but just in an energetic point of view, it sparks the relationship in a whole new dynamic. Because if you look online, there's very, very, very seldom, because I'm like, that's a brilliant, brilliant business plan right there, is being able to pick genres
Okay.
of those mindfucks. And then it sparks something within your relationship of a whole new level. And that's how I would.
Right. So how do you
That's
approach? How do you approach your partner with that, though?
Trust and communication.
Okay. Right.
Oh, but you have a better, you communicate a lot better than I
Right.
do, though. That's your realm.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let's ask the women in the room and in the show.
Okay.
Women make their decision if they're going to sleep with you in the first 15 seconds, and they stick around to see if you're going to talk yourself out of it. I mean, they already know. They know instinctually. It's just an instinctual thing.
what
They
I
look.
was
They look.
gonna
They're
say.
like Chris. Okay, yeah. Hopefully, it doesn't say stupid. Something
Yeah.
stupid the next hour that goes, shit, you blew it.
Messed
and that's
up.
that's what we do, right? We're like, but after a certain point, there's only so many positions in the Kama Sutra, and half of them are bullshit. Have you ever tried the wheelbarrow? It's a pain in the ass. It doesn't work. If you haven't worked out on the bicep, man, like,
it's
yo,
so
honey, we got to
great.
work on the
Yeah.
Doritos thing. It's not working out, right? I mean, all the blood's going to here. It should be somewhere else. This is not working.
Right.
So when we look at that, you're really going to boil down to, okay, there's only so many positions. So what's left? We take fantasy out of our relationship and we replace it with reality. No different than we do in business. And the whole thing, and when we look about reality, fantasy, reality, is that's where that truth lives again. Because the fantasy could be a reality, commonly called a dream, right? Or a goal, or an outcome, or a business model, or a relationship sequence. But we get scared to tell our fantasies, one, because what if they go, oh my God, they're told a freak job. And
Afraid of
blah, blah, blah.
rejection.
Yeah,
Everybody's afraid of
exactly.
rejection.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right. And yet the one thing you're rejecting the most is we're back
Yourself.
to yourself
Yeah.
again. I'm rejecting my own relationship because if you have the fantasy about it, go to your partner and say, yo, I was thinking about this. If nothing else, your partner can start to tell you stories because look, the best fucking town's a mind fuck. Let's cut the shit.
So true.
Right? Because you can take care of you better than anybody. Right?
And there's less
She can get her-
drama, too.
There's
Yeah.
so much-
Right.
so what if you had that role where you explore and you just take fantasies, and some of them are dark, some of them are middle ground, some of them are light and fun, and they're airy and goofy. right? But people are afraid to sit there and say that. I'm like, well, last I checked, every major religion, when they constitute a marriage, it says, the two shall become one. Okay, well, then how come you're not? What are you afraid of? That means you're still two. Well, if you're two, then that means there's another party in the relationship. Now you're already having threesomes or foursomes or fivesomes. It's personality parts, right? As opposed to, what if you just told, it's like, honey, I'm gonna take you on this fantasy and not even bring it up. On she's, when you asked her, would you bring, I wouldn't even bring it up. I just do it.
Okay.
So to your listener and your viewer who asked the question, just start taking the fantasy down the road.
Right.
What you see in your head, verbalize it. Close your eyes if you have to, and start talking about. I was walking down the street today and I saw this person. It reminded me of you. And here's what happened. I looked at his eyes just for a brief moment. And for that moment, time stood still. And all of a sudden I realized my entire body started to feel flush and I felt heated. And then I was thinking about, God, what it would be like if your hands were on my breast right now? And not were they just on my breast, but it had a commanding control, yet it was soft and hard at the same time. And I was going through this moment with him, and all I wanted to do is get home. And as I started to get home, I started to realize, I'll use your line if I may borrow it, Jamie, my panties started to change, a little bit of different moisture level going on back at the top of the show. Thank you for the insert. So, and you start telling that story. But we're so afraid to tell that story. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean
Doesn't
there's
mean-
anything
Because that's
wrong
where someone's
with you.
head could go. All of a
Bingo.
sudden, like, well, who's the guy?
Absolutely.
First thing you
Yeah,
like here,
the
who's that
softball.
guy?
Yeah.
It's
Oh
really
my
probably
God,
Did you
yeah.
get his number? Did you get his
It's like a-
Instagram?
So start
Yeah,
maybe
that's
start
exactly where we
light
go.
and airy.
Yeah.
Maybe start where it's like you morph into something like their secretary or whatever
Oh, I like
the
that.
fantasy
Let's
is.
play that
I
game.
know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we
Sexetary?
will. Yeah,
Sexetary?
secretary. I'll be your secretary.
Is it still
Where
sexual
is it?
harassment if we work this out? Is it? Shit. Counsel?
Not at all. I waived my rights.
Right,
of
me too.
Sexual
Right,
harassment
right,
with you. But starting out where it's something within your own dynamic as opposed to, because that is a beautiful mind fuck.
Yeah.
However, you're right. So many with egos, with insecurities may go down that road
Yeah.
of, oh my gosh, you
Shame,
did do
guilt.
that.
Yep.
And then you start triggering, and then you see them trigger, and then it goes in a totally different direction,
Yep,
which
now
is
you're
really
just,
now
awkward.
you're fighting.
out. Now
Right,
you're out.
now
you're
Now
fighting.
that whole fantasy whole thing
Is
is now
way
you're gonna
out.
either go out have to cheat or whatever it is to
Exactly.
get your own, but it's done.
You
So
certainly
if you
talking
do
about that
it-
one again.
Yeah, if you do it in a way or create a fantasy that you know won't trigger them, just to start out, just to get kind of your feet wet, so to speak, until you jump right in. Or if you want that candid conversation with your partner, is really sitting down and saying, "Ooh, I'm really nervous about talking to you about this because of my own shit." Instead of placing it upon them,
Yeah.
it's owning it like you did. That beautiful ownership of, hey,
Gorgeous.
this is where I am really at right now. You want to play, but I'm scared to even talk to you about it.
And I think on top of that, if
Ah.
dovetail, puns intended on top of that,
Nah.
subconscious much, yeah, is to your viewer and your subscriber is embody that feeling that you want to feel.
Right.
Stop asking him to give it to you.
Yeah.
Right.
He can't. No one can give you a feeling.
Right.
You're the one generating that. That's when you take ownership for your own orgasm. You take responsibility for your own pleasure. That's
true.
It's not a hard thing to do,
Right.
puns intended.
That is
right?
actually so accurate, because there are times when you do get frustrated in a relationship, you shut off where you don't have that deep, release.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you are not connecting to your partner.
Right.
Not because they're not connecting with
Or you're
you.
not
we
even
put it on
connected to
them.
yourself.
We put it on
Exactly,
them.
you're not connected to
I'm
yourself.
not willing to go, oh, okay.
Right.
We
I'm
put
gonna
it
go
on
go-
them. That's
right.
like we all, even though
Exactly.
we're not even knowing that we're doing
But
that.
we're all
we put it on
adults,
them.
remember?
Yep.
We're back to adults
Yeah.
again. Right? That's why I don't like adults. They're full of shit. I'm like, stop. You're the bullshit.
All right, what do you say, Miss Deer? What do you say to this?
Ooh, I think that if whatever she wants, she needs to create. He's not
Yeah.
responsible.
Right. Yeah.
So
Sum it
go
up.
get what you
Agreed.
want.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with everybody here, girl. I think you need to just
7
either
words or less.
own up to what you want, tell them what you want, and like mind fuck whatever you need to do, but just put it out there, let him know what you want, and because he probably doesn't even know that he's being boring and stuff because you haven't really projected that or
she
told
hasn't
him yet.
communicated.
Exactly. So
But also, there might be a lot of stresses, because I know
True.
that's
true. That's always
changes a
comes into
big,
it.
And also,
yeah.
too, what's boring to her may not be boring to him.
So
Have we talked
true.
about what boring actually means?
now that's
Or-
boring.
Yeah.
That's what bores me the most. When you just said there,
What's that?
when you can't connect because you both have what your boring
Right.
might not be their boring.
Yeah,
vice
I'm like,
versa.
what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it means to me.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that means anything to the rest of the world. So just have that conversation.
Yeah.
All right.
Otherwise, what's the point of being married?
All right. Well, we got it. You heard it from them, guys. This is, this is Travis and Michelle Fox. They are amazing guests. This is our first couple, by the way, we've had on the show.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's cool.
So thank you for that.
first.
Yeah. Aw.
We got de-virginized.
Yay.
So
You
Again.
de-virginized us, actually. So, all right, guys, is there anything I know that about your business? Please plug. Michelle, what do you want to start with? Plug whatever you want to plug, your social media, business, what's going on?
Like we said, ultimatebusinessquest.com or Business Empire app. If you're looking for either a side job, you want to start something new, it's a really great place to start. It is free. So there's a lot of in-app fun games, and it really takes you on the journey of where you want to go, where you want to take your company, or even leveling up.
Love that. All right, Travis?
Yeah, what she said, download the app, guys. Look, I mean, now in the Great Recession more than ever, most nations, including the United States, our GDP is made up from people who make less than $1 million a year. This is the stuff that they need to level up their game. So it's designed for whether you're starting a business or you have a business, you want to go to a brand, or you're looking to exit. So it's designed for all, and it's also designed for employees as well. Level 1, level 2, or 3, which we define so you know where you are. But you're going to go on an escalation of adventure. There's map 1, map 2, map 3, and it continues to grow until the point where we're not telling you anything.
Right.
You're making all the decisions. You're the king and queen of your business. You're the king and queen of your life. And that's really what education is about. And so for us, it's about giving it away. And people are like, well, why are you giving it away? Well, if you look at every major company that's made impact, it always started with micro. It never started with high ticket items. That's just a cash grab. No disrespect to my fellow brothers and sisters out there. That I've been a part of that as well. But two, our biggest value, because we have a 501 that also goes along with this, and we do support autism. We support sex trafficked survivors so that they can get into business as well. But we're also about changing the educational system for real. Our deep, bodaciously outrageous goal, and I'm going to say it here on the podcast, and thank you all of you for even being a part of it, is we want to win a Nobel Peace Prize for changing education back into a learning system. Because if we had all learned what we've just discussed here in the last 90 minutes, back when we were that age, imagine what this world really could
Yes.
be. Business,
They could
relationship.
create.
Right, yep.
Exactly.
Right.
We work cooperatively together, and we have fun doing it because, damn, we're only here for like that,
Right.
for grains of sand. So that's really our bodacious, outrageous goal, and the actual process is going through accreditation as we speak. So it actually gets into school. So anybody who's a part of it, just by downloading the Quest, changing your own life, share it with somebody else, it's going to have that tsunamic effect. And now working together, more than ever, this species as humans, man, we need to work together.
Yes, we do.
Fast.
Yeah.
Man, he's right about that.
Yeah, for
All right, Ms.
sure.
Villamore, what about yourself?
Just a shout out to Alani New and Seltzer. Thank you so much for the drinks and always taking care of us.
All right, and guys, you can find me at FetchSport on anything social media or at Dating Intelligence. And this has been an amazing show and a very insightful show. Thank you guys so much for
thank
joining
you
us
so
today.
much.
And we'd love to have you down the road again for
That'd be
another
wonderful.
subject. So, all right, guys, that's another episode of Dating Intelligence.
like,
And as Dr. Travis laughs over there, and we will catch you on the flip side. See ya.